Members of this party for their hard work and commitment. These great men and women of our party, both from within the Gambia and the diaspora, deserve our gratitude and appreciation for their hard work and for thoughtfulness. Special tribute in this respect goes to Dr. Ismaila Cisse, who it was that came with the idea of establishing this party outfit. And with the support of a few who also subscribe to his wisdom, efforts as consolidating thoughts and concepts and eventually structures made it possible for this party to be registered. Thank you, Dr. Ismaila Cisse. I would like to pay homage to all people who in various ways and personal abilities sponsored our journey this far. CA, unlike most political parties, does not have strong individuals bankrolling our growth and activities. No. CA is a youth party, and I want to repeat that. CA is a youth party, premised on the will of all people to embrace, to combine efforts for the good of all. For this reason, CA's financiers are CA's members themselves, who, when there is need for funding, would contribute anything they can find in their pockets or purses. Thank you very much, CA members. This alone has raised most of the money to register our party, and since then to run our party to Congress today. I am confident that with greater intensity, this system of general financing in which nobody can claim ownership of our party will lead to no one being able to claim ownership of our government when the citizens of this dear country shall elect us into office. This evolution of our party and therefore government in the future shall ensure necessarily independence of our government, in order to dedicate our strengths to matters of state rather than paying back to a few individuals for past favors. Governments of this country need the freedom and independence to evolve growth and corruption-free policies and effectively implement them to deliver growth and development to citizens of this country. This party was initially assembled by a few people, and with the help of God the Almighty, became what it is today, and yet greener days are before us. In CA, there is no difference between the promoters, the newly joined, and the well-established. In CA, just membership gives you the right of promotion of the affairs of the party, of being a well-established member. We are therefore equal in every sense of the word, and everyone has a right to what the next person has a right to. I would therefore ask you, in our language parlance, get up and take ownership of your party. Ladies and gentlemen, 2021 is one in a series of years by which human nature measures time and uses it to plan and effect actions on issues and concerns that affect them. It therefore is reasonable to say that depictive of its dynamism, time, 2021, can also come and go like so many years since the independence of our dear country in 1965. And yet, we would continue to wonder when true independence would arrive, which is the ability of all Gambians to live in dignity and pride, confident that the next meal, suitable housing, acceptable health and education systems are assured. The arrival of the Citizens Alliance Party in the political scene of this country is not just because as a youth party and the biggest population constituency, it is determined to take what might, in simple political terms, belong to them, and that is political power. No. The youths of this country continue to respect and relish the dictum that the elderly are always useful. Magbahna. Kebal betiatal. Kunifana kujajak. Bawiya kawara. And in spite of this, the youths who carry the burden of underdevelopment and dictatorship realize that the history of our dear country, since independence, instructs that the real energy of the nation be part of its development. And these are the youths. Or leave it relegated perpetually to underdevelopment and strife. And we will not do that as youths. This is a call to duty in the present sorry state of our nation and addressed to all youths of this country. These are some of the reasons for the descent of CA on the shores of the Gambian political scene, and its first Congress to be held in Brikama is a call to all Gambians, especially the young, to be part of the process of harnessing and putting into good use all capacities that this country is made up of, and for the first time thread the course of true development with a new sense of commitment and determination. Creating and institutionalizing a party is not easy by any means. But I am proud of the youths of CA for the determination, for their wit, for their level of maturity and consciousness shown in establishing the interim structures, which until now have been responsible for restructuring and operationalizing the party from the grassroots. I want to salute all members of CA, especially the working group, the steering committee, the regional groups, the youth wing, and very importantly the diaspora branch or the 8th electoral region for their hard work. I cannot thank you enough for transforming that idea initiated by Dr. Ismaila Cisse, our party leader and flag bearer, into one of the Gambia's fastest growing political parties and hope for true transformative development. I dedicate, ladies and gentlemen, this Congress and all the resolutions that shall come out of it to the guidance of the Almighty God, Allah. And that steadily and consistently CA shall evolve into the party that shall give the Gambia the pride of development and freedom. I call on all Gambians of all religions and ethnicities to come forward and take their positions in this departing train of freedom and development. Because that is what CA is, a departing train of freedom and development. It's not stopping. And be counted when history of success and wisdom is being recounted by generations yet to come. I salute all the people who have supported us in all forms, and the entire Gambians, including the IEC, who due to their kind nature have enabled us to become a political party and conduct our affairs in peace and tranquility. Once again, I call on all Gambians to come into CA and take ownership of their destinies. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank the various people from various parties and orientations, and the press who have come to be part of this important evolving Gambian political history. I salute especially heads and our representatives of other political parties and government for coming. This speaks volumes of us as Gambians and about our civility as a people, which is a necessary ingredient in the perpetual sustenance of democracy and peaceful coexistence of the diversity of opinions that all are co-anchored on the commonness of national identity and the need to recognize that at the end of the day, we are all Gambians. What is good for all. And equally, what is not good for all. And that we shall either succeed and be secured in dignity together or fail in the same pattern. For these reasons, we need to always find common ground in our diversity as Gambians and ensure peaceful coexistence, since it is only through peace and respect for each other that development can be planned and executed for the well-being of all Gambians. Meanwhile, I wish you all a very successful first National Party Congress and encourage you to take advantage of the kindness of the people of the West Coast region and the great city of Brikama. With God's divine guidance, we shall conduct ourselves in the most civil manner, reminiscent of us CA, and eventually select Gambians both locally and in the diaspora who are capable, willing, and committed to work as a team to complete the journey to national leadership and development. May God, in His limitless mercy, bless CA. May God, in His unbountiful mercy, bless the Gambia. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Aparaka Pake, Mr. Dominic Mendy, Olemu na interim chairman team. Now on the itinerary, we have the activity report presentation that will be done. And sign for the tempo into Olem. Simfadal ni nyabutal mi selabato, woi boto fanambina mulut mandina memba itandila. Legi ñu jël temps ñu def modi o xamne mo ñu wara ñew ka ñu aju ci activité report manam yokkute ak ndoxale ni ñu am ci biir Citizen Alliance. Activity report. Let me have the presenter for the activity report. Please. Mesti behar diorang waktu muanda, notai muanda na lamdina ini saja inomen bangio, tercuma gondel do joni. The order conference, our Hattori Chairman, Mr. Dominic Mendy. Chairman is coming to do the deliberation again. Thank you.
Once again, good morning. Ngali salam alaikum. Ngali nimbara. Bide ali benjela lefo. Bare ngamera ali nyanta mokilin doron najala bi. Bara nala sondom ba jela lefo. Malam barenta fala ko mbajal la fa pass ha. Now you know, when you have a new party, the party evolves. Like I said, the idea of the party was initiated by Dr. Ismail Assise, and he brought a few of us together, young and old. I think I'm the youngest of all the people in our party. And you know, I did something yesterday, because normally I will not dye my hair, you know. I would have been looking like Nelson Mandela when he was about to die, you know. And my grandchild, you know, told me, "Mom, you'll be for your newlal ko balangadem, do dem muk." And she brought a newlal brush. So that's why I'm looking like a boy today, you know. And imagine I am the oldest. I am the youngest. If I am the youngest, then we must be a set of very old people. Is that not true? Actually, it's the reverse. I am the oldest, and the next oldest, I am almost 10 years older than him. You know? And our party is made up of people, you know, from God knows where to around 35, 36, 40. So imagine that amount of energy. It's important energy. Now, establishing a new party is not easy, because a party does not revolve around one person. Party o mo kilin doron buka party ron. Niya moy idea soto Ismaila Sise idea soto. On idea nati ani mo Jamal Diamo tani idea kono isontama. So iko high be party ni establish a party ni establish. But a party mung afansu moleti. Kaso party ko mo ka bulo soto nyame ay kungo soto ay singol soto party fanan ka karao nyama. Ni lafta party ni etama. For a party organize ko mo ay kungo soto ay kuntio soto. Ay bulol soto mako erla. Ay singol soto menu mako erla ay lo. So ni amo nying wala nying committee me alon ko fengo fen wulta dron wala ka wili ya doko fenke nyobulu ya distribute nyoma andun doko nyeke pati lafta men na ilata men na le soto je. So wolem ka pati nying structure. So first year akake ya kolembalti because wato fonga nying fengo and wato election of kakeno and this year ala nata ke you know nyin corona nata ya mol batandi mol me man kambe bamben no pour ye nyin structure sol organized juna you know so na all structures me alon ko wale launching nyin organized tum menum botako working group steering committee nyata demanding fanang fenkenyol nata youth wing nata wale everything organized for be mbe election o soto la bare ka bobbi ninga election o soto fo nga national organizing committee set up one national organizing committee wala be nying other sub committee ol be establish la wala be nying party ron la andum nying national organizing committee amanke ko mol me alon ko bebe tara kombatu babanko nono e bebe bola representation ol be bula dulal bet dol fam be bola diaspora you know tubabudu anu itetat la jande bare yalon sign communication is very simple ni be meeting olaf ni lafta hanin na nyim meeting be même kantang mol be jekan andu be la moy kan control ken la moy kan nya maintain menu be bantala banko so that nyin committee wala be nyin mo dokol be kala ye na party nyin organize ye Dr. Ismaila Sise makoy as the flag bearer ye campaign launch. Then at the end of the elections, I declare as the President of the Republic of the Gambia. So, nying organizing nying National Executive Committee for ye accountable. And accountable to Babu Kangato Mountain, ning yalon ni moye doko kodi doko rangal dile. Ning karo father for contibo. For ye account pour ay ko do men dile la fo ya atamandi a nyamale bang you know fo nafa bote jele bang fo nafa man boje ni atara manta ma nyama fana amanke ko na manta nyama dorong ye ko do nyi sunyale hande wonte de asikeno ko business le mantama so nga jibe munati na business mantama nyanta men kala ngawol ke so that next year o karnala you know business eta makende so mbe men kay kan mbe report men di kan wolem interim structures working group and steering committee la reporto pour ñing santambila ka itandi mollako e ñinni ke next year ñi national executive committee mbe men appoint la wolle fanambina ye reporto di nga ñomoy le very good so mbe fana read la in English because for newspaper le asamba you know Bandala mole la moela because eventual assess la ole nyama as a party. And we are CA, we are a party of difference. And we are going to do things differently and above board. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, CA was registered and launched on the 28th November 2019, and today it is officially 1 year. This might be the best approach to celebrating the birthday of this growing political party, for which its activity report has been prepared to highlight the party's activities over the past year. Since it is the first year, most of the time and efforts were directed at establishing permanent structures and creating visibility nationwide and in the diaspora, especially explaining the new political message of national development and sustained security. So the first activity is the launching of the party. The party was launched on the 29th of November 2020 at the Penchami Hall, Paradise Hotel. It was very well attended, with the hall full to capacity and overflowing into the outside, and the attendants exercised significant patience and waited out for the whole ceremony to come to an end. That shows how captivating our launch was. The attendance was also very diverse in ethnicity, in religion, in gender, and in all the dimensions that defines our community, the Gambia, which is the main basis of the structure of this party. The structure of this party is based on diversity. The youths outnumbered all attendants, signaling the mission of CA to be the platform by which youths must express themselves and create the country that they desire and dream of. So the launch of the party set the stage for the party's political explosion and structural reinforcement to recruit and cater to the political aspirations of all development-oriented Gambians in country and abroad. And this party is drawing membership in leaps and bounds. Thanks be to God. Number 2, utilization of pre-registration structures as platforms for creating and establishing permanent structures. I just said that this is our first year. So in the year, we could have had a Congress and could have established a national and elected National Executive Committee. But again, there were many issues that did not make that easy for us, one of which was COVID. And therefore, all we could have done is what we have done now. When government has endorsed that even though COVID is still around and we must continue to be careful, we could operate in the country in business as usual to the extent that we protect ourselves. The stage having been set by the launching of the party, the need was felt for intensifying recruitment, creating a critical mass of membership, and undertaking a congress, which is what is happening today, just exactly 1 year after the party's registration. Meanwhile, whilst all of this was taking place, there was need to maintain and utilize the pre-registration structures of the working group. And the working group functioned as the CA's parliament because it was the clearinghouse for whatever CA decided. The steering committee, which is the operational clearinghouse of the party, headed and ably convened by the diaspora committee president, Ali Jan, also functioned side by side with the working group. These two structures actually ran CA for the greater part of 2019-2020. The Diaspora Committee, which externally coordinates all outreach, fundraising, and other issues of the parties beyond the shores of the Gambia, is one of three structures by which, until today, this party has been run. So that, what I want you to understand is, the working group meets, but it also links the diasporans through the virtual platform. And so real time, whilst meetings are being held here, they are also being listened to and participated in by people from all corners of the world. And so what the current in the communication infrastructure has enabled CA to do was to make the operating platform of CA so small that CA could convene a meeting and meet with all its members across the globe. Part of our job today, upon the creation of this critical mass of membership, is to, for the first time, elect a national executive committee, which would take over the mantle of running this party and establishing necessary substructures to ensure effectiveness and efficiency. So as from today, when we would have elected our national executive committee, the working groups and the steering committee would necessarily stand dissolved. And the new National Executive Committee will take over the mantle of leadership and create, as it evolves, the necessary substructures that will lead CA into the elections. Number three, the post-launching additional structures. As the party's outreach across the country took momentum and the membership grew tremendously, it became necessary for other structures to be created. And once again, the person who was at the head of the outreach campaign, taking our messages right into the most remote corners of this country, was our erudite flag bearer and new party leader, Dr. Ismaila Sise. These two structures are both, so now, eventually after the launching, the youth wing and the regional wings were created. These two structures are both youth-based and emerged to be platforms and instruments of successful recruitment, fundraising, and socio-political education for members of our party. The youth wing, which is structured in accordance with the structural requirements of our party constitution, already has a nominated National Executive Committee which shall be confirmed in elections immediately after this Congress. So that the youth wing is benchmarking the overall national executive in terms of structure. And this is very good for party structural evolution and transitioning. It means our young people on their own and managing themselves, structured as we are required to be structured by our constitution, will also function that way. So that when they move into the National Executive Committee, they will not need to be schooled or to be oriented. They would have had at least sufficient orientation to run this party effectively. The youth wing undertook so many training programs and conducted debates on many issues relevant to the development of our dear country, and ensured appreciable overall understanding of the political promise of our party. In fact, one might say that our party is blessed by a youth wing which has become the forerunner in ideas and creativity. And this youth wing shall be an instrument of innovation as the party continues to grow. Thank you very much, youth wing. I want to speak specifically to item number 4, which is outreach and recruitment. There were several other committees, such as the outreach and media committees. The outreach committee was headed by our erudite party creator, Dr. Ismaila Sise, and supported by young and committed personnel, such as Mr. Rafi Diab, who is everything anyone can be in this party. And I might say, somebody who I have given a new name, Abdurrahman Jallo, but I call him Jallo Brikama. You know, a name he earned by his commitment to making sure that people of the West Coast region, and that is Brikama, know and feel this party to hail from or belong to them. This group, this outreach group, was supported by regional chairmen in each region, and within this year was able to establish regional executives and youth structures across the country, the whole country. I want to thank all of these people and pray and hope that they may be blessed. These people must recognize that they are the bedrock of our party, and that if what is happening today is deemed success, we owe it to them, and the real work has just begun. Fundraising. Number 5. Political party fundraising is a Herculean task. It is a tough task, especially when the party is in the opposition. Most people would rather not relate openly with the party, even where they agree with its political message, and would prefer to be sealed and tacit in their support. A sad situation. Is it not sad? I hope a day will come when it will be safe and free for one to live out his political beliefs, even when they are not the same with the ruling governments. However, this is our current political landscape, and we have to navigate it. In this landscape, with the leadership of Rafi Diab in fundraising, this party raised $1 million to register the party, and more money to undertake outreach, COVID-19 intervention, and social livelihood support at the grassroots across the country. Thanks to all of our sponsors, we are grateful. We are indeed most grateful, and may God bless them. Among these sponsors are the members of CA themselves. Each time funds are needed, a hat is passed round, and party members in their various abilities were very forthcoming. The diaspora wing has been a strong pillar of financial support to the party as well. Fundraising is one area which people who believe in our message and trust our offer of development solutions are requested to help sustain this party. Every political structure needs funding. The annual financial reports of the party as required by the IEC shall be issued soon for presentation to the National Executive Committee and the party membership in good time, as the first year of our operations has just come to an end. The first year of our operation ends today. So the financial books should be closed today, and the reports should be able to come out in about 3 months. That is when you compile all the reports and subject it to an audit and file them with the IEC. So we are not going to present a financial report today because we just cannot technically do that. Number 6, social and economic interventions. CA is a young party and is still on the road to financial stability. And that's a very important caveat. However, CA recognizes that the country which they want to transform into a modern developed nation is poor, and that most of its people suffer from hunger and deprivation. For this reason, our outreach included identifying where this was or most needed, and in our own little way and humble manner, provide the necessary support. We also undertook many press conferences, radio and television interviews and shows, social media engagements, all aimed at objectively critiquing government policy and providing alternative solutions of national governance in the form of advice. So we are not just an opposition that decries everything that government does. We endorse any good work done by government. We critique and provide alternative solutions to solutions offered by government which we feel are not optimal or are suboptimal. And that is what an effective opposition should be, because an opposition party such as CA is not just an opposition, it's a government in waiting. When COVID was declared as a pandemic, CA undertook a press conference on the subject and was one of the first parties to contribute buckets and detergents in the West Coast region as our first contribution to the prevention efforts of the pandemic. Our activities in this direction include contribution to national policy debate and offer of alternative solutions on managing the pandemic, and also undertaking livelihood support related to the impact that would have been caused by COVID. I therefore want to emphasize, ladies and gentlemen, that young as it is, unstable as it is financially, CA has in the past 1 year conducted itself and undertaking activities reminiscent of very mature and financially stable political parties. Thanks be to all of you and thanks be to God. I thank you for your attention. This was our report, and at some point I think we will have question and answer sessions, and we will be more than happy to provide clarifications on issues that you may want clarifications on. But I also want you to take note that whilst we have a right to and might have ask questions and make comments, this will be controlled, because later on in the evening we have to have a rally. And also today is Friday, and by 2 o'clock, Saturday rather, yeah, today is Saturday. I thought it was Juma, yeah. Saturday, I'm sorry. So that's the situation. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Once again, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for the activity speech, the activity report that you will going to there. Now on the itinerary, we have the time for questions and answers by chair and the delegates. Mogi Degi from Tolo Moy, Latte ak tontu, latte nak ñuy jógee ci delegates yi mooy ñoo xam ne ñoo fi ñëw teewal seen conséquences yi ñu tànn
I'll give it to you after, please. Let me just.
Delegates and the chairman, time for the questions and answers. Momo after mini kargela delegated ko receive no bulindi na microphone no gila chairman de tabu no abe jabi o kela manam delegate ko xam ne rek yaangi buga laajte ba am na laajte mun nga ekati sa loxo di jox la microphone ngala chairman mo dina la tontu ci tabu. Thank you very much. Allah barika delegate def ko tabu.
Right in the crowd.
Huh?
The delegates, they are right in the crowd, right?
Yeah. But anybody can answer ask question.
When one side coming for Bano, Momo meaning Carlos isi pulau buli kami pulau najiye ye chairman meaning I can do here. Yeah, I have my brother right.
That's one.
That's one.
Hello. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, the delegates. I just want to ask a very, very important questions, and I believe the chairman will be in position to answer that question. My question is, as the youths have hope in Citizen Alliance, they are waiting 2021 4th December. On the 5th December, they will let Dr. Ismail Sise to the State House by the grace of God. But I would like to know across the country, especially in the urban areas, I would like to know what are your plans for each of this region as far as the youths are concerned when the citizen comes into the power in 2021. I would like you to hint us what are the plans for the youth, because the reason of asking this question, we have seen so many government pass, they didn't do anything or they didn't have any plans for the youths. So therefore, before we go further, we all have hope on Citizen Alliance that 2021 they will take this country as a government. So what do you have for the youths of this country, who are the crane, who are the fertilizer, who are everything? Because in a minute, if they want to change the government, they change it. We can see the example of past election taking place. So therefore, Mr. Chairman, that's my question. Thank you very much for allowing me to ask the question.
Thank you. Abarka baru ay chairman meaning gamin na ako. Inshallah sanna 2021 maybe pafla ne wa be Ismail Sambal State House. Ako bari ay meaning karo men sa chairman ni mulam. Mum fere de landire fondi kene. Jum jele ko sa kunda ne chamita. Ni man nasi imanna plan jaman sono milli fondi gel makoy. Thank you. Latte bi mu latte mo ni ne mune inshallah atum 2021 ñun ñepp dinañ leen ko yobo Ismaila Cissé ca State House. Waaye mu ngi laaj chairman ne ana yan santa ak jéego yoo xam ne loolu lañ tëral biir Citizen Alliance pour ndaw ñi ndax ndaw yi tey ñooy mag yi leen. Thank you.
Do we have another question? Do we have another
another question? Mo ko te bigay min after ni karo kala nga be kun so ñora chairman si abe jall. Ko xam ne rek yaa ngi am laajte nang ma nekk ci sa loxo ma indi la microphone nga laaj chairman dina la tontu jox la tuuti leer. Okay? Finding one again. Okay? Oh, lady, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. My name is Maria Mañas, and then the question that I am to ask the chairman is that there is many corruption nowadays in our country, every department in every section in our country. It is that if Dr. Ismail Sise won this presidency, it is that he will eradicate corruption in our country. And if there is any department or apartment doing corruption in our country, what will be the rule or what will be the law implement on them? I need an answer that will please me, please, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Gogotam mune lumui latte chairman monine ya mune kitili umin latte Citizen Alliance nan len koy fampe ako bituma kapayane mabaliane ne baboka o molbe suki menka ne Citizen Alliance na ako alafta chairman ya ko diane famba ay jabi diara meme adisola nga fanan nimba jere thank you.
Okay. I can.
You can go ahead.
Yeah. So haral ma tontu ñaari laajte yi ñi ñi jota laajte nga ñini kar flol men folo keta ngewol jaabi waaye suma waaw dama bëgg ngay translate because now I don't want to put our flag bearer and party leader on the spot.
Chairman go among party science and jinka na party nyato go adina pandiru de kafari me makati kulina nyato.
Because today after this we are going into an electoral process.
Nena lulu luko wala
and constitutionally, he is one of the candidates that we are considering for a position in the new national executive. So as a result, really, it will not be proper for me to require him to help me respond to some of your questions. Because that would just not be proper. But I know there are other top members of the party who are not contesting elections. And it's only those top members of the party who are not contesting elections that can help me answer some of the questions. Because even if they speak now, that will not give them advantage in the elections. Or the CA is just trying to leave our talk because we want to make sure that the election field, the ground is level. So now I will invite members of the executive, the transition executive, to please come forward after I have answered and they think that they have additional explanations to give. Because that is what CA is. CA does not revolve around one person. It will not revolve around Dominic alone, neither will it revolve around Ismaila alone. CA will revolve around all of us. Very good. Let me answer question number one. Now, the question number one is, when we elect Ismaila as President of the Republic of the Gambia, and we form a government, what are the plans that we, as a party, CA, and at that time, as a government, what plans do we have for the youths in all the regions of the country, and especially the urban area? Am I right?
Yeah. Chairman Kawai Ninkar follow me Jamila William Ninkar Ninkaro Gabuko, a fairy matter landing move for Ninkoli. Then I gave you question Bumui Langa Bantumoi, Kulate woman, young mother young Jacob pull the youths of the government.
Those questions are the reason why CA was formed. Because CA was formed because this country, either deliberately or inadvertently, did not understand its predicament. At least what we see in the governments that have come and gone and being in government now. We understand that the youths constitute the greater majority of this country, over 60% of the population. And you know what a youth is by the definition of the National Youth Policy? They are people who range from age 14 to age 35. And in fact, in certain circumstances, they increase the age to age 40. So if you increase it to 40, you are talking about almost 70% of the population. But you know, what really are youths? You know, when I delivered my speech, I said the youths are the energy of this country. But what does that mean? Energy is power. It is because of energy, that's why we have light here. That's why the fans are working. That's why I can speak and the words will be amplified and you hear me. So energy is what makes everything move. So if you want a nation to move, you have to create your youth in such a manner that they will have the ability to optimally contribute to the development of this country. And that is what is constituted in the CA manifesto, which I hasten to say that in a week's time will be launched. And we will have the opportunity of seeing the detailed policies of CA in terms of not how to create and nurture the youths and give them the required knowledge, skill, and social comportment to build capacity in themselves to be independent and successful in every venture, but to make them with all that knowledge and wisdom to be responsible and committed members of their society. And that is what CA will do. And that is adequately manifested in our manifesto, and that will be launched in a week or two's time, and our manifesto will be out in the streets, on the airwaves, and everywhere, and eventually it will be translated into various languages verbally, so that people who cannot read will listen to it, and will be able to critique it as well, will be able to learn from it, and will be able to rally around it in order to create that country that will provide for the youth that we are talking about, that will create the energy. It says that we have to harness the youth dividend. What is a dividend? You cannot harness a dividend, you know, in business. I'm a businessman, I'm an economist. A dividend is when you make profit, isn't it? So you share the profits, and that is what you call a dividend. So if the youths are the national profit, then you have to make profit first and foremost. But if you do not give youths enough education, you do not give them enough confidence and capacity to be useful to themselves first and to society, then do you really have profits to harness? You really don't. So that is exactly what CA is all about. If we want to tell you the nitty-gritties and the details of how this will be executed, we can spend the whole day here. But I promise you, the manifesto is ready. It will be launched in about a week and a half to 2 weeks, and the youths will know that this is their party. But I'm not telling you this. The manifesto is not the creation of Dr. Ismail Assise or Dominic Mendy. The manifesto is the creation of the Gambian people, especially the youths, because it is a manifesto that is relatively and very well consulted, so that when it comes out, it becomes the manifesto of the people. So that's my answer to question number one, if that satisfies you. Now, question number two is a very passionate question from a young lady, who, when she was asking the question, she almost wept. Did you hear her voice? She almost cried. This lady is lamenting corruption. What is corruption? You know, corruption is so sophisticated that even when it is happening, at times we inadvertently support it, thinking that it's something good. But, you know, in my own simple language, corruption really is deliberately coveting what belongs to everybody, to yourself alone. Am I understood? And that is not right, and that can be done in various ways. And it has become so serious in our public structures that you wonder whether, as a nation, we will soon not break loose. And you know, it is costing us so much, not only in donor support, but in the attraction of significant domestic and international investment that will create economic momentum and create employment and create livelihoods and welfare. So corruption needs to be stamped out. Madam, I agree with that. I agree with that. And the structures that CA will come up with, as defined in our manifesto, are to make sure that we create, because corruption cannot be eliminated by identifying 1, 2, 3 people and breaking their heads and hoping that that will take away corruption. No, no, no. Corruption has to be fought systemically. All the structures that you have, all the ministries that you have, all the departments that we have to reassess all of these in terms of their suitability for purpose. And we have to reassemble all of this, rearrange all of this, and redefine the operational modalities, the endorsement mechanism, and the sanction regimes for corruption. And not only do we define these, but we have to selflessly and fearlessly implement those. And these are detailed in the manifesto. So what a CA government will do, my sister or my daughter, is that it will create, as a system of governance, a structure that will ensure that there's optimal utilization of national resources in the interest of everybody, and ensure that corruption is eliminated or at worst reduced to the barest minimum. I do hope that we will succeed. We ask for God's divine guidance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Ci leeral bi nga leeral noonu si ñaari laajte buñ la laaj mooy njuuj njaaj ak nan la Citizen Alliance am loo xam ne àdduna ci ndaw yi. I hope those answers are very clear. Now on the itinerary we still have adoption of report by the delegates. Whoever wants to adopt, you can raise your hand and I bring the mic over.
Yeah, let me deal with that.
Okay, Chairman is dealing with it.
So this, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates, this Congress provided you with only one report, that is the activity report. The financial report is not ready because today is the day that we would have closed our books, and so our financial year ends today. So the financial report can only be prepared a few weeks or months after today, and that will be presented either by some means or it will be presented in the next Congress. We will work with the IEC, we will seek their advice in terms of how that can be done. So the report that we have given you is one of 2 reports we should have, and that is the activity report. Again, after that activity report, we have asked if people have comments and questions, and we have just come from answering some of those questions. So we need to adopt the report. The report comes from the interim structures, the steering committee and the working group. But now the report has been presented. It is no more the property of the structures. It is no more the property of the the steering committee and the working group. It is now the property of the delegates. So you have listened to the reports, you have asked questions. It is a requirement now that you either say yes, you support that we adopt the report, or you say no, you do not support that we adopt the report. We go and revise the report and present it again at another time. This is your show. So I think one way of doing that is those of us who are delegates in the hall know themselves. So we might want to use the National Assembly formula. You know the National Assembly, when the speaker puts a question before the assembly, she says, those for, and they say, and then they say, those against, they say, or they say, yeah, you know what I mean? And so the speaker listens to the loudest and then passes judgment, whether in fact the yes were louder than the no's, or the no's were louder than the yes. And the speaker would say the no's have it, or the yes have it. So I want, with your permission, to adopt that. I see, am I in order? Thank you. So now, the report, I'm going to stand now. So report on ying nga report on ying ridle. Wo kola moli ying karo kele. Ando ying karo member ke wo report ala report nyen. Sign report make working group la report ati kota ke o steering committee la report alla report ole matol delegation. Ando momo men kata delegation de sidi dama ya lon pete mun delegation. Bare sai niko momo diamo report on ying kan momo ya ko hanga to parle abe pale ala mun. Bare ni National Assembly jibe ni laptop board kela speaker ka fole ko ha sign board ni nyanta kala. Bare sai mbakela ten menu sonda la sa ko ha menu manso sa ko ha so ni wuro kada te ka akela mala ko ha ngamera mon sonda la wala siata menu manso ndi wono menu sonda la wala ata so mbeo process de sa ta so na lo ko hanin man suro ka ko hanin man jola ka ko ma ja ko wala fula ka ko sa ro ka ko mbenga nyomo en on so sa ila ko din karo nekala Sangari report ni rile ngadile aliye la wena aliye report ni fahamu sanyi report mbatala ko na CA report le for 2020 la for tata so mba ala ni kala niko mbatala le bang la pa delegation ni ekulol muli delegation ko le nyata ko fabrikala Nimbola rombali ni kan tala le ko ba ko report ni drop na le because report ni mambeti abake ina dala ku ya dinna ba meni amira ko nyanda ole kala o fana be ulol mulda so sai le ni ka follow ni kala report ni ngamendi ba tala nyama le ba delegation alu lol le gero le Delegator le bulo delegator no alu bulo ke sa to ali kana bulo ni foni ko ale ko ni ne bulo ke sa to kare ya binde ala ni na ta ni wala si jambi Okay, thank you. I think I have 44. Just note that one. 44. Okay, then we got 40. Project Olenity. Report on for Nyamda, Amurmila, working group, and steering committee, Adaraku, because report on Mantakuba, many American report on Mantaku, Nyamda, come forward and take their positions and then so sir come forward. Mo tan sabani ana tan nani nani wole la dolu iko riporo ta nyamale sa ni riporo ba adoptale IKCA la riporo for 2019-2020 para mo kini pana ko ada man som ni riporo yang terbulale ya ada so akamunda ko riporo ni ba adoptale ko wole kan ala
I'm sorry, Brikama chairman. Delegate chairman bukan moi. Mungkin agent nyo woni report di jelmen go namunen go. Kenare moji amal kana ko wadegi sani kata la net bukan net atena. On mungkin report di len ko jil dugal ko jino ni citizens alliance. Kengen jep alabarga anibar.
acha tajul lesson box.
Now on the itinerary we're heading forward is we have the presentation and the adoption briefly of the constitution by the interim chairman and delegates. Bari Aboko sign, atekelo wati jantidron bari jantidron, and in summary kaitan ni ko marabugo mensafeta na Citizen Alliance patio chairman wala chairman mure fana interdira and delegate what is to do. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I need to stand.
Allah. Now, dear delegates, ladies and gentlemen, to register a party, put a party register with the IEC. One of the most critical things is party a constitution score. Constitution wale party in the loi. Haninga nying Congress make constitution le a define them. Wala tamba ke. Wala nabi IC mon beja. Amang ke ko clerk dorone dijande. IC commissioner for wale Meloni Commissioner Chairman Kasi ni IC la dogonya kide wale nada observation ke ndola kan kide nkamanya di the form kama in accordance with our constitution na mere register deba form kama boy pama ni wotaba nya ya lo ko matara constitution because IC ben lona nyadi even learn through our constitution. Ni ngafeke isafanya ko amare Allah constitution kote. Adol baga. So meomen be CA define. Meomen be any party define our constitution. But the party budo na constitution obedela. Wo wa membership council follow. For all be along ko wala na comment Ismaila na monument ko do. Sida yenyin patila boy Kenya gibe ya la constitution wandara wodrone do ke mon wo wato congress ke ko la kato moma members of so constitution on na wale register IC bare a register in bangimu ni constitution na dia re bi anu ni ko na dia re ko na dia da CAB isa ko ni constitution ba falena ando ka falena to nyala Ismaila ni ndo ni nyolo ni mo jamaa wala sile ni constitution da maluko ke isa ko ha bara le constitution da wa temena ani sai wa do change tale so ku jamaa ni constitution for ko no me aloko imam possible mo sai ko e fa andi na leo abekala bare constitution mi alongo nga renta IC janda be falin ni atara be falin andol fanan alla constitution because wala isi wala dina bi procedure ma ko ko de constitution ni read la ni pa pa publish na website and Facebook page, and then translate the fanan in local language sarakulo maningol and come on so that they distribute memang tuakaramo memang tuakaramo and we can read no isala boy ila kamo so your constitution and you understand so that you understand so that momo aglo en dia lako ani de inya tafale wosina mona but b fonga ni constitutional adopt because now the IEC fonga fokoha IEC nyala na constitutional di adult amendment ali en instrument no constitutional use the body for ni atramba fale ko jande ni afale then afale de ko no constitutional fire with the IEC. So being a go at well can in constitutional adopt. Debate today, no sabbath meaning a constitutional. For adopt follow. Then the new national executive committee I told you what the logo aliye constitutional given protected. Not a fale, Dulame Naka Fale, I highlight collection. Ani ofana ani ni patia fale wo bulal fale to won ko wo fay ko de adopt ko fay sama nan congress general body ya dibe e soma na adopt so ka adopt ko le ka som constitution mane ka ko ni man sa ya ba ka la ta na fa le ko ka ko sa na la ko ali ko ka ko na ba na ko okay so sir again because ni mo procedure around the thing so many will be la ni constitution ka adopt ama delegates around la ta mo de ye bulol bulol ni ata mo si de ni won a constitution ni adopt so si de ni won alla constitution ye never is the IC well ni constitution la ka put na ko be mara fosa and wala ba ka na foni wati men na atole ya be ko ay na ka wo kama lafta na som ni constitution so be ni wuli bila ngale dami mo so ta ye blo allo aja problem wuli ko pada kamu oh me all me kon sama la ko ale problem ko roba ka sa no what is the man so constitutional so sai constitutional na CA 2019 constitution na main register IEC so based on that so na adopted stands adopted. Thank you very much.
Yes, well, I can go. Perfect. That was good.
Again, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and we thank you all. But right now it's almost 2 o'clock, and we're going to have 10 minutes break. People pray and use the restroom and so forth. But 10 minutes please, let's not exceed it, because we have a lot of fish to fry during the day. Ako po ba yung sa isang panafere asida, may minute time jala nakasari, yung kung use magpulor may minute time kumudro, nanamuro ng kongre kontine. Pao nyato kontino kuno raniba fanamen malukan jalanan. Ningin ni tawa kunti gel fuki minute dañuy julli naan ndox tekki seen tànk yi tuuti ñu dellusiwaat continuer congrès bi jërë ngeen jëf. Thank you. 10 minutes, please. Nothing more.